Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hand of the day for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. In this one, multi-way madness, and we bluff catching. Let's see if we made the right decision. Okay, here's our spot. We're going to try something a little different today. We are going to walk through the hand, just go through every action. And then after I talk through all of the action, we'll get to the final results. Then we're going to go back, go into GTO Wizard, and walk through each street. So just give you a little bit of a different perspective on things, and I'll talk through my thinking, and then we'll check my thinking after we see the results of the hand. So we've got King 10 offsuit in early position, sitting on about 27 big blinds. And I'm going to raise this. Again, we will check GTO Wizard later. But that feels like correct to me. I think this is bottom of range. I don't think I'm raising any other offsuit king except this one off the stack depth from this spot. We get a call from the hijack. So I'm thinking small and medium pairs. I'm thinking ace-x suited, maybe some really good suited connectors. Jack 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, maybe. That's about it. That's kind of what I'm thinking about for that person's range. I don't know if y'all can see this, but so the stats on this person are 18 hands, played 50, raised 50% of hands, loose and aggressive. So keep that in mind. And then we get a call from the big blind. Cool. Three ways. We are in the sandwich. Not ideal, but let's see what happens. Flop is pretty benign. The ace high flop is, let's say, generally good for us, although remember what I said about the hijacks range. A lot of ace X. So the big blind checks, and I think this is a check. I think if I have an ace, I can bet it. I think if I hit maybe a good backdoor draw, I could bet it. Um, Obviously, if I hit like a set, I'm going to bet that. Otherwise, I think I'm going to play pretty passively. So I check. And then the hijack checks. So right away, I'm thinking, if this person has an ace, I think there's a pretty decent chance they would bet it here in position against three players, trying to build a pot. So when that person checks, especially an aggressive person, kind of alarm bells going off in my head. Now a four comes off, which is, if it's going to hit anybody, it's going to be the big blind, but doesn't really do much to change the action. Checks. And I feel like I can stab a little bit here because I would have checked a decent amount of aces on the flop to be a little more deceptive. I definitely would have checked weaker aces too, because there's a risk that the hijack has a better ace. So I'm going to bet here. And I bet, what is that, 55% pot? We'll see what GTO Wizard thinks about it. I get called by the hijack. I don't love this. So now I'm starting to rethink what I thought on the flop about them not having an ace. There's a decent chance they have an ace. I don't know what their draws would be that they could have here. It's possible they have what, 10-9, so pair nines. It's possible they have, I don't know, pair of eights. They shouldn't have 6-7. They shouldn't have 2-3. They could have ace-4 kind of thing. So there's some bluffs in there, but there's a lot of decent hands too. Big blind folds. And now we river a pair of tens. So now I have showdown value, I think. I'm going to check. If our opponent has 9x, we win. They can do a little bit of bluffing. Again, this is a pretty loose player. So I think I can just check call, depending on their bet size. And this is where it gets weird. So there's 16 bigs in the pot, and our opponent rips it. They jam all in. They cover us. This is for our tournament. And I think if this player's profile isn't so loose and aggressive, I probably would have just folded this, no problem. But just the fact that they're in almost every hand, that they don't bet the flop, I don't know. Just something about it just felt kind of fishy to me. Um, I blocked a lot of their block. Like I blocked King Queen. I could see King Queen doing this. So that's not great. I blocked King Jack. I could see King Jack doing this. Um, but I just decided, what the hell, I'm gonna look them up, and I was right. 6-7 of hearts. That feels like a pretty loose call from the hijack against an early position raise. But we'll have to check it out. So they flopped a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. They turned an up and down draw and missed everything, and I win. Um, so now let's see what GTO Wizard thinks about every street. All right, back to the pre-flop decision. King 10, under the gun 1. Got to be a raise all day. Yep, we got that right. Hijack call. Would they have 6-7? Is that right? You can see all their suited connectors at this stack depth. The best one you're going to call with is 9-8. Really, I should say that again. The worst one you're going to call is 9-8 suited, which makes a lot of sense. You want to connect with Broadway boards a little bit more, and you got to be careful because you can get to the river and need to get it all in. But they decided to call, which was not a good decision. Worked out for us. All right, let's go to the flop. And the flop is 5 of hearts, ace of diamonds, 9 of clubs. And the big blind's going to check everything if they have half a brain. Yeah, and we're checking our entire range. Look at that. The entire range. So feel good about that decision. And then let's look at the hijacks decisions with ace X. Bet your 2 pair, check your kind of middling aces, bet your 2 pair, bet your bigger aces. So our read was right. When they check here, all the aces fall out, or most of your aces fall out, except for like ace 8, ace 7, maybe a little bit of ace 4, ace 5. So checks around, 4 comes. And then I said that's not a great card for us. And then we talked a little bit about how the hijack could have 2 pair. Button checks again. And then, okay, here's our decision. So, because we started betting here. And GTO Wizard hates it. And yeah, I think it's, I mean, I guess here's the thing though, right? I'd start betting all my big aces, right? I mean, I check 2 pair on the flop. If I hit 2 pair, I'm betting. See, I'm checking this ace 5 2 pair on the flop and then betting it on the turn. And then I got like king 7 as a bluff. I'm betting some of my 9s, second pair. So I don't hate it. I understand why it doesn't want me to bet king 10 specifically. Um, I don't know. I kind of like it mixed in as a bluff, semi bluff, I guess. Because I could hit a king or a 10 and feel pretty good. But let's play this out. So I bet, yeah, that's about right. Let's say a little over half pot. And now the hijack's going to call. And they should mostly be calling with an ace or a nine. If you don't have an ace or a nine, you should not be playing this hand. Well, you could call with pocket kings too. Even queens have to fold. Look at that, a lot. It'd be kind of nice to bet this and get queens to fold. All right. Big blind gets out of the way. River is the 10 hearts. And if we bet king 10 off, and then we are going to check all of those. And now our opponent is going to blast. What are their bluffs? Do they have any bluffs where they're blasting off? King 9. I mean, they're blasting their nines. Set of nines, two pair. Nines with a jack, nines with a queen, nines with a king. Two pair, two pair, two pair. Set of aces. So there's not really any bluffs here. Which means, according to GTO, this is always a fold. But this is something I am paying much closer attention to. GTO is the optimal way to play against somebody else who is also playing optimally. And we're talking about real life, and we're talking about real poker against real people. And when somebody deviates massively one way or another, in this case, plays way too many hands, plays them very aggressively, i.e., gets to this spot with fewer hands, i.e., has to bluff more. That's why this turned into a call for me. You could disagree with it and say, you just got lucky with your bluff catcher. Maybe that's the case. If that's the case, I do want you to use the comments. Tell me more about your thinking. But like, you got to deviate because human beings are going to deviate in their play. So how do you respond to it? If this was a super nitty player, super tight, didn't really get out of line, and they're betting this river this much, easy fold. But in this case, I think it's an easy call. And we were right, although GTO Wizard disagrees. All right, let's stop there. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.